I'm not really going to do much just sports talk in general. Honestly, it's going to be mostly just fantasy football. Like I said before, it's kind of something I wanted to steer this channel to anyway, so hey, it's officially fantasy season. The NBA season's over. I know I didn't really cover anything the NBA season, but we're going to become strictly just a fantasy football channel. And starting this season, I want to just go over strategy. Now, strategy isn't anything that you should really rely on. I mean, at the end of the day, what falls to you is going to be what falls to you in the draft. But a strategy that I used last year, and it turned out pretty successfully for me. I'm going to show you my team from last year, so you're going to understand. You're going to be like, yeah, okay, your team was stacked. But it's the RB hero strategy. It is not a strategy for somebody who's just like your average Joe. You know, you're in a league with a bunch of friends and you don't really ever check. You just kind of start your lineup and forget it. With this strategy does come lots of work. So, going forward, okay, the RB hero strategy is getting one of those essential early first round picks and getting a running back that you have 100% faith in, you know is going to be able to carry your load all season long, and then kind of just shoring up the rest of your lineup before coming back to the running back position. Like I said, if you are somebody who likes to kind of just set your lineup and forget about it, never really check on it, this is not a strategy for you. Because let me be honest, I was struggling all season long trying to figure out who I was going to put in that second RB position, doing constant research throughout the entire week. A lot of things just never kind of went my way as far as that second running back position, but we're still able to overcome that because the rest of our lineup was so good. So, moving forward, some running backs we can trust. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor. So he's going to be the number one probably pick off the board. Christian McCaffrey might go number one. We'll get to him in a little bit. Another running back I think I would have a lot of faith in with this strategy, especially in a full PPR league, is going to be Austin Eckler. He gets the touches, he gets the red zone carries, he gets the catches out of the backfield, which is huge in PPR leagues. And then somebody else is Dalvin Cook, which is somebody I took in my draft last season, but I would highly recommend getting Alexander Mattison as like kind of an anchor, you know, with Dalvin Cook. But just for the simple fact that, yes, Dalvin Cook does get injured, and Alexander Mattison, when he comes in, they give him the same production. And you don't have to worry about them ever splitting carries, because for the past 2 seasons, whenever Dalvin Cook goes out, Alexander Mattison comes in, gives the Vikings the same exact production. Dalvin Cook comes back off of, you know, being injured, and they go right back to just feeding him the football. So that is somebody you will never have to worry about, you know, oh, well, is he going to end up splitting carries? Minnesota has shown time and time again that their trust is in Dalvin Cook, and they're just going to keep feeding him the ball as long as he's healthy. Okay, and then our third running back, this is not in any particular order. I should say fourth running back, but it's not in any particular order, just kind of how they came to mind and how I put them down, would be Alvin Kamara. Kind of the same situation as far as, you know, carrying the load as Dalvin Cook and getting those catches out of the backfield, especially without Michael Thomas coming back, especially with who knows exactly their quarterback situation. They're really going to be relying on Alvin Kamara to carry them throughout most of the season. Okay, and then moving on to Derrick Henry, somebody who I love, and I understand the age. Okay, yeah, he had that injury, but them starting him in the playoffs when he came back and was healthy shows that the Tennessee Titans still have a lot of trust in Derrick Henry and are willing to just keep pounding the rock with him, especially now that A.J. Brown's gone. They don't have as much of a passing game, so it's going to be more of just Derrick Henry pounding the rock, which is going to be awesome if you pick him up on your fantasy team. Then we have Najee Harris. And yeah, I understand it's going to be a sophomore year. A lot of people are worried about sophomore slumps. but he didn't really perform great. I mean, just the touches were there, and those touches are going to continue to be there without Big Ben, and now they're getting Mitch Trubisky, who's looking like he's going to be the starter in that Pittsburgh Steelers offense. I don't think that it's going to, take away from Najee Harris's touches at all. Even if he comes down 10%, he's still going to be getting more touches than any other running back in the league. So, if you get Najee Harris on your team, the touches are going to be there, and that's what is going to matter. Okay? So moving forward to our next option, kind of a risk-reward guy, that's Christian McCaffrey. Now, is he worth it? I've been burned by Christian McCaffrey. I'm sure many of you have been burned by Christian McCaffrey. If he is healthy, there is no doubt in anybody's mind he's the greatest fantasy football player there is. Like, you would take Christian McCaffrey, a healthy Christian McCaffrey, over any other quarterback, running back, wide receiver in the entire league, and it's not even close. But it's the health that's an issue. Now, coming out of camp, they're saying that he is healthy, but who knows? I mean, and right now, Sam Darnold's still their quarterback. Rumors of them picking up Baker Mayfield, which I think is an upgrade over Sam Darnold, but even then, they're still going to be relying heavy on Christian McCaffrey if he is healthy. So if you're somebody who truly believes that Christian McCaffrey is back and he's here to stay and you're going to have him all season long, by all means, take Christian McCaffrey. And if you do and he stays healthy, you're probably going to win your league. So I kind of just want to show you my draft from the last season. Not the best editing on my part, but you get the picture. Okay? I was the number 2 person off the board, so you can kind of just go through and see. Obviously, the 1 through 5 are up top, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are on the bottom. As you can see, again, Christian McCaffrey went first. Started off pretty solid. That guy went running back, and there's nothing wrong with that. I actually like that strategy a lot, but kind of the beginning of the draft, this strategy was something I'd never tried before and kind of wanted to take that risk. Didn't completely go as I expected it to either. For instance, as we go through, if you want to pause and take a look at this, you can. I'm just going to go focus on just my lineup. And this was my draft. So you can see we took Dalvin Cook with the number 2 pick overall, who I was completely fine with. Again, I wanted Alexander Madison, but he kind of just never fell to me when I wanted him to. And it happens, we just had to figure it out from there. So we have Dalvin Cook was my number 1 overall, my number 1 pick, my first round pick. Then we went DeAndre Hopkins, who did not have a stellar season, but then we went Darren Waller. So my thought process was through the first 3 rounds, I had a top 3 running back, I had a top 3 wide receiver, and a top 3 tight end. Like, that was my thought process. I was feeling all right, and I was like, oh, you know what? Let's get Cooper Kupp. Let's really shore up that wide receiver position. And he fell to us. We got Cooper Kupp. Obviously, we all know how that turned out. And then this was after we drafted the weekend after J.K. Dobbins got injured. Gus Edwards still sitting there in the 4th round. I took the chance on him. Little did I know, 3 days later, Gus Edwards also going down, and then he's out for the rest of the season. Kind of sucks, but like I said, that's the whole thing. I would have loved to have went running back in the first 2 rounds, but D-Hop was sitting there, then Waller was sitting there, and then Cooper Kupp was sitting there, and I kind of had to just grab those guys, not let anybody else get them. Then in the 5th round, Mike Davis. At the beginning of the season, I was 100% sure that Mike Davis was going to be the starting running back for the Atlanta Falcons all season long. But I was wrong. Obviously, Cordell Patterson stepped on the scene, and he came up huge for those Arizona Cardinals. Not too big of a deal the whole time, honestly. And that 6th round, Mike Davis is who I was wanting to get. I did probably close to 100 mock drafts, and every single round Mike Davis was going in that round. So I took him. Probably a little bit early, but like I said, I was very confident he was going to be the starter all season long. Ended up not being, but we move on. Myles Gaskin, I was another person where I really wanted to go back to wide receiver. Honestly, I wanted to get a quarterback in these early rounds. Just kind of, I don't like reaching for quarterbacks. It's not something I ever agree with, and you'll see why. But Mike Gesicki was sitting there. Somebody else I was very confident was going to be that running back. I thought they were going to run the ball a little bit more, knowing that their quarterback isn't all that great. Let's be honest. He was not exactly what people thought he was going to be coming out of the draft. He kind of ended up busting. And then moving forward in the 8th round, I got Jamar Chase. And in redraft leagues, I usually stay away from rookies just because I'm not 100% sure how they're going to perform. But the reason why I went with Jamar Chase here is my thought process is, well, we have Joe Burrows and Jamar Chase. They've already played together. That connection's already going to be there. We draft usually the 3rd or 2nd week of preseason. And yes, Jamar Chase had a lot of drop balls, part of the reason why he fell all the way to the 8th round. But I kind of thought in my head, I was like, the first 5 weeks is just going to be Jamar Chase getting up to speed. So if I can't start him through the first 5 weeks, I'll be fine with that. If I take some losses, it is what it is. We'll move forward and we'll figure it out. And then in the 9th round, and this is why I don't like reaching for quarterbacks, is Tom Brady. And Tom Brady ended up having the most passing yards all season last year. Why would I reach for Patrick Mahomes in round 2? Pretty sure he didn't get back to me with the 19th pick. I'm pretty sure he was already gone by that point. So but at the end of the day, why would I reach for a quarterback in round 2, 3, 4 when you just have Tom Brady just slowly coming down? Yeah, everybody's always worried about his age, but at the end of the day, it's Tom Brady, and he's going to sling the football. And then with the 10th round, I took Cortland Sutton, who was banged up at the beginning of the season. But again, I didn't feel like I needed a wide receiver right away. He's kind of somebody who just was there, and I was very happy to take him because I knew once he got healthy, he would be a great flex option. Didn't really pan out, but that's fine. Laviska Shenault, somebody I kind of had high hopes for. I reached for him a little bit. Probably could have went a couple rounds later. But we took him anyways. Is what it is. Had really no hopes for him. Then I went with Mike Gesicki just because I like Mike Gesicki as a tight end. I wanted a backup to Darren Waller in case he got injured, which he did. And Mike Gesicki has shown that he's kind of a pretty reliable tight end in the past. Then at 13, I took in the 13th round, took Kirk Cousins just because I wanted a second quarterback. A lot of people are down on Kirk Cousins, but he is a very solid quarterback for fantasy. He puts up decent numbers. Say what you want, he doesn't turn the ball over, and he usually gets his yards and his completions. So he's a solid fantasy quarterback. Now, is he somebody I would like to have as my QB1? Absolutely not. But as a backup, he's one of the safest backup options I think you can get in all of fantasy. And then, defense, kicker, not a big deal. But basically, this is kind of what my team ended up being at the end of the year. I didn't show the kicker and defense. That's not a big deal. But Tom Brady killed it. Great season. Cooper Kupp, as we all know, absolutely destroyed it. Jamar Chase ended up coming onto the scene. Sorry about the train. I was right on the railroad track. I'm going to go back a little bit. Cooper Kupp, as we all know, ended up killing it. Jamar Chase came onto the scene sooner than I thought. Like I said before, I thought he was going to be, that guy in the 5th round. Ended up, in the 5th week, ended up coming on the 3rd week, and from there on, I started him. I didn't really think twice about switching him out. Rashard Penny, somebody I ended up picking up just because, like I said, trying to figure out that RB2 position. It was a struggle all season long. Rashard Penny was starting to starting to string a couple games together once he got off that injury, so I picked him up. Dalvin Cook, obviously I'm keeping him. My whole strategy was around Dalvin Cook, who ended up not having a tremendous season, but it was a good enough season for me to basically keep my team afloat in that running back position. Hunter Henry ended up having to pick up, just tight end situation wise. With Waller going out, it wasn't great. Trying to scramble to fill that position. I believe I ended up picking him up on a bye week when Gesicki was out. Went back to get Gesicki and either didn't have enough waivers or somebody else already picked him up. And then Devin Singletary, again, trying to pick up that second running back position. It was, like I said, it's literally from Sunday through Sunday, all week long, I am looking at the games, watching attentively, seeing who can I pick up, who's getting touches that probably shouldn't be getting touches, who can I just fill in that RB2 position that nobody else is looking at, can possibly help give me an edge. Then Russell Gage, picked him up just because Calvin Ridley was like, hey, I'm not even going to play this year, and he was their basically number one wide receiver in the Atlanta Falcons. And then we have Justin Jackson, again, somebody who at the end of the season was having some really good games with, I believe Eckler was out for like 2 games. So I took Justin Jackson, threw him into the lineup, just try to get some sort of productivity out of him. Ramondre Stevenson, again, another one of those guys. He had a couple games, throw him in there. And then Kirk Cousins, of course, kept him. So as you can see, my team at the end of the year is pretty different from the beginning of the season. Obviously, Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase came onto the scene and were just killing it. So I rolled with them all season long. No reason to differentiate from that. If you can get the 2 wide receivers and they're just being absolute studs, you keep them. That's what this strategy is about. It's about getting a solid running back, somebody you trust, and then building up every other position. I understand I ended up getting Jamar Chase in the 8th round. It's not going to happen this year, considering he's probably the wide receiver 2 or 3 this season, and Cooper Kupp's the wide receiver 1, unquestionably. But it's just kind of having the foresight, and this is why I want to start this channel. So I have foresights where I can predict and help you guys figure out where you should draft and what your strategy should be. And then, like I said, Dalvin Cook, kind of just who I got at the beginning of the year, and was like, hey, I'm going to be 100% fine if Dalvin Cook is my number 1 running back. I can figure out that RB2 position whenever I need to. So that is a RB hero strategy. Like I said, not for everybody. You really have to do your work every single week if you want to stay competitive in your league. That's all I got for you this week. Stay tuned. Want to try posting Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday throughout the entire season. Just keep this channel going. Something I was kind of bad about before, but I want to get to an actual schedule and come at you with another video every 3 times a week. Whether it's strategy like this, or it's, one player versus another player, who's going to be the top wide receiver in an organization such as the Green Bay Packers, somebody I think I'm going to end up covering this week, because that's a piece of an offense that you really want. And if you can get that one player Rodgers is going to stick to, that's who and you can get that player, and you're probably going to get them later in the round as far as draft rounds, as 6 or 7. And Rodgers loves to cling to players. Anyways, going off topic, just keep coming back, subscribe, and I'm going to keep trying to post 3 days a week at least, and we'll see where this goes. Peace.